Right, so in terms of the previous lesson, is there anything that you like to know or that you like to add, or that are you happy?
I saw something in the break that I just clicked. Can I quickly show you that?
Yeah, sure.
I saw that every time when you learn a new skill to go through the levels, that initial skill that you have to learn, there's levels in that also. So, example, I just started doing webinars. We've done a few that I stand in front of people with seminars, but with a webinar, it's not you have to start and then you have to master that skill also. It's not now you've got the skill, now it's under the belt. It's every time it's a new, and then when you go in the process, it's learning. You have to learn.
Remember, you're building competency.
Yes.
So that learning is not the way that we think that we learn. It's not getting information. That is a total different, it's a competency building learning.
Yes.
Where you get the experience, because now suddenly you're in front of people. You've never been in front, or you're on a computer. You don't know if they listen to you,
yes.
if they can hear you. You have to check your monitor. You have to try to figure out where you are. It's a total different environment. Right, and simply because of that, simply because you're in that space, now you have to start learning. You have to go back, you have to re-listen to it. Where did I make mistakes? Why did I make mistakes? How did people react? And each and every one of that is part of experience. So suddenly there's experience, there's applied knowledge, because now during that webinar, you can ask questions, you can see what works, you can see what does not work. That is applied knowledge. And that is giving you the skills.
Yes.
Can you see? So when we're referring to skills, Vincent, what we're actually referring to is this combination of competency building. And this is going to be almost like a never-ending process. But here's the trick. Can I show you something?
Yes.
Check here.
Oh, yeah.
Just stand where you stand. If we focus on the 20% to get the 80% result, we don't need to care about the rest of that in terms of focus. So we don't need to focus on 80% to get 20% result. If we do this according to the plan that we've got, the path that I'm going to tell you about now, if you just do that and fixate basically on doing what you're supposed to do at the level of that. So to become successful is very simple. You need to get the right information, in other words, the applied knowledge for the level that you're at. And then you have to, in the right order, because as you can see there's a specific order that you need to link these skills on top of one another. It's not just randomly skills, because this is what most people do. They build skills, but they stack that next to each other instead of stacking the skills on top of one another. That is where the growth is going to be. So you have to get the basics right before you can start with the skills. And what we're doing now is we're focusing on the 0.8%, so that we know where we are, that we know the path, and that we can correct us, because there are so many influences that's going to influence you along the way. And that's why it's so important to have that clarity, to have that focus in terms of that's going to give you the clarity, the confidence, as well as the protection. Because unless you're going to have a GPS, unless you're going to have a path, and you know where you are in that path, you're going to get, well, there are too many things that are going to distract you from achieving your goal. Right.
And one thing I also saw, and that is when I started working here, the formula hasn't changed. But when I started working here and you explained these things to me, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, and it went like poof, it went down my head. But now, or through the years now, I'm starting to learn this and understanding that you need these skills and stack them on top of, and you have to master that skill. But if you're not ready, what do you do then?
It's not that you're not ready. You were ready, but you were ready at that level.
Yes. Yeah.
So some of the stuff that we're doing, Lara's been with me now for quite some time. She's implementing structures and systems. Right. So the moment that you see that, of course it's going to be over your head, because you've never been exposed to it. You're not at that level. But now you're catching up, and now suddenly it makes sense. So it's not that it's not there. It's not that you did not hear it, but you could not incorporate that. You could not internalize it simply because you were not there. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is why it's so important that we focus only on the 4%.
Yes.
Especially with this, if you want to get within 52 weeks to it's going to be damn difficult. You have to focus on the 4%, and then of course I'm going to take it to the 20%. But for the next 6 weeks, you're going to focus just on one thing, the 4%, to get a 64% result, to see if that plan that you've got, that idea, that prototype, if it's working. If it's not working, we're going to start another one. If that's not working, we're going to start another one, until we find one that is going to work, and that then we're going to take through the different. And by the way, the steps that we need to do, that is what we teach in the Rainmakers. But you've done the Rainmakers, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the Rainmakers as such. Right, any other questions?
No.
Do you have any questions? So if you've got questions in the comment box, please ask us the questions. This is why we're here. And although this is, I can almost say, a preparation or an introduction phase, this is one of the most important phases that you have to go through, because otherwise that business is not going to fly. And this is the reason why 96% of all businesses will fail, according to Dun & Bradstreet, that's been doing these surveys now for the last about 140 years. Right, 96. And the main reason is a lack of skill and knowledge on the part of the business owner. It's nothing to do with the rest. And the 99% of that is because they haven't done this portion. So if you can park over there, and then I'm going to take over. Will that be okay?
100%.
Right. Okay, so basically where we are right now, we're busy with the introduction. We haven't really started, although we know at least what product type we're going to have. And we're now going to look at the 52 weeks in terms of the success path that I've planned for you. So in the first 6 weeks, the way that we're going to do this, actually 2 alternatives that we can do. What we want to achieve with this goal is, before we start, we've started looking at that, and then we said, what's the outcome of this course? So at the end of the first part, the first 6 weeks, we want to create a prototype, an informational product that can sell. We want to write an autoresponder campaign. We want to be able to pre-sell that in terms of the sales page. We want to use a webinar. In other words, we're going to learn how to set up a webinar, or you're going to learn that. And then you're going to present that webinar, and then you're going to sell your prototype. Right, so this is what we're going to do in terms of what we are busy with. Now, if we start then in Module 1. In Module 1, there's 2 outcomes that we'll have. And Module 1 is basically the first part of this path that we're going to, or the different levels. We can call it stages, or the path, or we can call it different levels. Okay, so this is a level 1, and this is literally where we're going to start the business. So what we're going to do in the first 6 weeks, we're going to learn how to turn an idea into, within 6 weeks, into a product, an informational product. That's what we want to achieve. If we can do that, then we're in serious, or you in serious business. Once that is done, now we're going to launch this business. We're going to have a business. We're going to monetize it through the prototype. And if we see that there's a business, now we have to grow that business. And we're going to spend most of the time for the next year on growing the business. Right. But at the same time, we're going to start building this machine in terms of the system. So for the first level, the systems will already be there, but it's not going to be in the full sense. It's going to be just this 4% that we need in order to prove that we've got a business. Once that is in place, now we're going to start adding, like for example, week 6 to week 12, 7 to 12 is going to be Facebook. Right. Now that Facebook means it's a total new skill. And the reason why we need that skill is we need to target the market, get in front of the market, get to build an email list, as well as how to get leads at a cost-effective way in terms of growing the rest of the business. So this is a crucial skill, but we can only apply this skill if we've got an informational product, because otherwise that skill is useless. That's why we're going to do that skill once we're at that level, and that's going to take a couple of weeks as well as. But now we've already got business, so the moment that we start implementing that skill, guess what's going to happen with your business? It's going to grow. That's the function of a level 2, is to get more leads, to get more customers, to get more conversions, to get more clients, to get more profits. This is a function of a level 2. So that Facebook, we're going to incorporate so that we can start driving traffic, right? And then converting the traffic. So now we're going to learn some of the skills that we've learned here in terms of copywriting and webinar and seminars. We're going to incorporate this there so that we can get a better conversion and a better tracking in terms from this market. Right. Now, the next 6 weeks, what we're going to do, we're going to start focusing on copywriting. Copywriting is how do you place that ad? How do you convert that ad into what we call a conversion page? How do you take that into a page where you can sell, right? So that process, the copy, that script that you're going to have for your webinar or for your seminar or your long sales letter or your launch, all of that is based on copy. And I've got, although you've learned this already here in terms of the 32-step process, now we're going to really start, and I'll show you exactly how I'm doing it and why I do it the way that I'm doing it. Next thing that we're going to do is, during that same phase, from week 13 to 18, we're going to have a look at landing pages. This whole course of landing pages is part of the digital. You've already done it, but now we're going to dive really deep into landing pages to optimize this. So if we drive traffic from Facebook and it lands on our pages, so that we make sure that we've got a checklist, that everything is there, because this is a skill that you need to master. Lara, I think you've mastered that skill already, but we're going to hone into that so that we know we are optimizing the ads, we are optimizing the landing page, where they're going to land, the sales pages, the conversion page, all of that. And I'm also going to start focusing on list building. Now, list building is the crucial, this is the cornerstone of a business. If you've got a list, then you've got emails. If you've got emails and you've got an idea, you can convert that literally within a day or 2 days into cash or into a new idea or into a new... So that process, list building, is a process where there are skills. So although we've used this already here, you're going to use it already, right? But here we're going to go deep into it so that you understand the different parts and why we do what we do, so that you can master that and that you can help yourself, your business, and other people in the process. And then in week 19 to 24, we're still at level 2. We're going to start diving into webinars. So here we've already done a webinar, right? But it was a templated webinar. It was that 4%. Now we're busy with building the 20%, where we gain the knowledge, where we incorporate that Facebook with the systems, with the structures. Now we're going to incorporate the webinar with Facebook, with the systems, with the structure. So it's going to be a very, very natural process that you're going to go through. Plus, we know we've got deadlines for each and every level, so otherwise we'll never get at the end of 52 weeks to your goal or to your goal. So once we've got that, then we're going to start looking at flash promotions. Now, flash promotion is an incredible thing, because the moment that you start having a database and you've got an idea, you can literally turn that database, and if you've already got a database, I know you've got databases, so you can turn that database, and if you want cash, you can turn that literally by switching on this machine. You can have the cash within 4 days, literally 4 days. And that skill you will learn during this phase of week 19 to 24. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about livecast. Now, a livecast is different than a webinar or a seminar. So you need to know, but how can I apply a webinar and a seminar and a livecast in order to get to different markets? Because different markets learn in different ways. But the moment that we use a livecast, we can use out examples of experts, incorporate that in order to give people more experience to something. And the moment that you use a person that's already been successful, that's already, because now you've got a track record, because those people got results. So we're going to use those people, experts in their fields, to say, okay, but how did you help them with whatever course you're going to decide to do?